Welcome to episode 96 of the Toadstool Boardroom for the week of July 3rd, 2024. My name's Logan Plant, and I'm joined this week just by Chris Schreiber. Hi, Chris.
Hello. Sorry, video listeners, for what just happened. It's fine. I fixed it.
What just happened?
I clicked on Discord, but I clicked on you, and then you were like really big, and your face was split in half by the box. It's fine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Well, we have a really fun show this week. Justin's out this week, but Chris is here to tell us all about how he likes Luigi Mansion 2's mission structure. And I couldn't say that game right either time I tried. Luigi's Mansion 2's. There's two possessives in there when I say it that way, and it tripped me out. But Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, we talked about it a little bit last week. Chris wasn't here, so now we're going to hear his thoughts on that. We're going to share some headlines from Nintendo's shareholders meeting, and we're going to talk about this awesome unofficial Club Nintendo anthology that's hitting Kickstarter next month that I just saw today, and it looks really, really cool. We're excited to talk about that. But let's start with Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Chris, how far in are you, and what do you think?
Oh, I mean, so I am definitely in the first mansion, for sure. I'm not very far in this game. What always happens with games that I'm very excited to play happened once again, where my wife has taken it hostage.
No.
This is the curse of my Nintendo fandom at this point. But no, what's been great with it is I constantly talk about how I have a very small window each day or each week to play video games anymore. And we've kind of talked about this a little bit on other episodes. Sorry, my glasses are very dirty. But the 3DS versus like games on the 3DS versus games on the Switch, the way that they were structured and the way that they're built, and Luigi's Mansion 2 is a very good example of this, is it is very level based and it's very bite sized. It was like an era of they were meeting in the middle with what people were doing in mobile gaming, but also incorporating that into what is a handheld console experience. And I think Luigi's Mansion 2 nails that really well for somebody that either is on the go, because this was a handheld game originally, or and still technically is in 50% capacity.
Yeah.
But it does that really well, and the mission structure, while it is vastly different from, and there's things about it I don't like, I will say that, I think it lends itself very well to somebody who I only have a very small amount of time per week, per day, to be able to get into this game and get out. And if there's time between you playing, refamiliarizing yourself with that game. If you're a busy parent or anything like that, that's where I'm at now. This game has been great for me because it's as badly as I want to keep playing Thousand Year Door, it's really hard to be able to dedicate all right, I'm going to sit down and play either this entire chapter or half of a chapter and find the save point. And it's well, do I want to leave my Switch in safe mode? What if my wife wants to play something else? And then I lose that progress. It's a bit of a gamble for anything that doesn't have a good autosave stop and gap thing that I can kind of rely on. Luigi Mansion 2, most of the missions at most are probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes. And that's on that's if you really can't figure out what it is that you're trying to do. I think that is probably the game's biggest weakness, is when you are given a mission and it's suck up 40 spider webs or something very simple. Or you can't find that thing that you're just trying to figure out with the dark light, or whatever it is they call it. I think that's what they call it. It can be super frustrating. And this game has a lot of if you're a completionist, trying to get all the booze, get all the gems, get 3 stars, having to replay those missions, I think that's the worst part of this game.
Yeah.
But outside of that, if you're just a casual gamer, you're nah, I just want to play through Luigi's Mansion, I think this game's great. It has aged very well, I think. If you're going to compare it to Luigi's Mansion 3, yeah, it's not as good, and it was a 3DS game, but if you're a casual gamer through the lens of, and you're looking at it through the lens of I just want to get down with some ghosts, yeah, I think this is a really solid experience for anybody that owns a Switch. I look forward to finding pockets of my day in the beginning of the day or whatever, where it's like, all right, well, if I do this, that, and the other thing chores wise, maybe I could squeeze in like one level and just try to get that done or try to 3-star that thing. And that's been really fun for me. It's like, it's kind of taking me back to like a lot of the older retro titles, or it's why I end up playing a lot of older retro titles that have a level select option, like Tropical Freeze, or, and I mean, not that I call Tropical Freeze retro, but Donkey Kong's playing behind me right now.
They made it.
Yeah, yeah. But they have that, that type of level selection. Whereas something like, a JRPG, Earthbound, like I love these games. I'm just not at a point in my life where I can play them. So I really appreciate the fact that I get that this is probably an easy money grab for Nintendo of just like, yeah, we'll send it to a port house, the same studio that did Skyward Sword HD, a game that I also appreciate existing. But I really want them to do more of these for people like me in my position, to be able to either revisit those games like Kid Icarus, or I mean, I'll even bring it up, Star Fox 64 3DS, right? Those games that can be played in more bite-sized segments, for only a couple minutes a day. Like, I think that's great. I wish I liked Mario versus Donkey Kong more, because I think that also would have been, a good one in that lineup as well. But that game's terrible, and I just don't really care for it that much.
It's terrible. Yeah, I like that. That's how you ended your whole speech, was just dunking on Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Game's the worst.
Yeah, it is not good. It's not good. Yeah, it's because it's $10 cheaper than Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. That's obviously why it's not as good. It's only $49.99. No, Luigi's Mansion 2, I'm still playing it. And yeah, I really like you bringing that perspective to the show, because last week I talked about Luigi's Mansion 2 and said I still dislike that about it. I still don't like the mission structure. And for me, as someone who typically, I play games at the very end of the day, I stay up a lot later than my girlfriend does. So that is the time that I find to play games. And I usually have a couple hours to do so at the end of the night. And Luigi's Mansion 2 just pulling me out of the mansion after 15 minutes, and just the amount of times you have to run through the same rooms. It just really does grind on me, and it's not conducive at all to play in a long chunk like that. So maybe I need to start playing it as kind of an opener, or like an appetizer to whatever I'm going to dive into for longer. Like you're talking about, just play one mission and then put it away for the night and chip away at it like that, because it's totally designed to play it that way. So maybe I just need to play it that way to not kind of get tired of it in some of the longer play sessions.
Yeah, I mean, and when this game first came out, I was in college, and funny enough, was like in a similar but not exactly the same situation where like I wasn't playing a lot of console games, but I was playing a lot of 3DS and Vita. Like that was my primary means of playing games at that point. And it was either between classes or between me being at work or going to school, or at my girlfriend at the time, now wife's, apartment, because she like didn't have a PS3 or whatever it was at the time yet. Like I played a lot of these games at that time. Mario 3D Land is like another great example of this, where you can, I think that game does it better, where you could sit down and play that for like an hour straight and be like, this is great. But I think, like you said, Luigi's Mansion 2 does a really tough thing. EGAD is so chatty. He's constantly reminding you of what you have to do. And like, especially in the beginning of the game, I feel like that does start to lighten up a little bit. Like there's just so much dialogue and him constantly calling you and interrupting, and you can't skip it. Like I think that's something that, like, there's definitely improvements that they could have made to this game. But I think I'm just glad, like it's been really hard for me since James has been born to find games that not that like Luigi's Mansion really resonated with me, but like that's not the point I'm trying to make. But it's more like, but it's been really hard to find games that I can fit into my busy schedule. This is one of them. I think if I played this for like 2 hours straight though, I'd be like, oh my God. And I'd point out like every single flaw that I could find with it, because they're there. Like they're totally valid.
Yeah, but it is still a very good game. Like I know I tend to talk very negatively on this one, and I think a lot of people do, but it's because the rest of the series is so great. 1 and 3 are amazing Nintendo games, and this is a really good one, and that's still a very great game overall. So
It's
I'm
like
going to
pizza.
stick with it, and I'm going to finish it.
Like bad pizza is still pizza. Like, and not even this is a bad game. Like, it's just like it's still Luigi's Mansion. You're gonna have a good time, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned Super Mario 3D Land. That is one I feel like never gets brought up for an HD port to Switch. That'd be such a cool pick. That game's really good. That is an underrated one, I think.
I don't know if they haven't done it because there are some levels, and like they could find a way around it. That's one of the only 3DS games where it's like there's sections of that game where you would go into the puzzle box and it's like you have to have the 3D slider on or you don't know what you're doing. They have to change that for that game. That's not a heavy lift though. There's probably like 10 of those in the whole game, if I did guess. But like there are people out there where they're like, no, Mario 3D Land is the best Mario game, and I think you could make that argument. Like it is that good of a game. It's what spawned 3D World on Wii U. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. It seems like a dead ringer for a Nintendo Direct, like if they had a Nintendo Direct Q4 2024, I'd be like, sure, we can port that one too. Why not? Because people will buy it.
You'll sell 10 million if you do.
Right. And like Mario fans always want more games that are like of that platforming, caliber. Isn't that the last one we got at this point? Is Mario 3D World?
Galaxy 2.
Oh, Galaxy.
Oh wait,
2.
sorry, I thought you were saying which ones aren't on.
No. Yeah, on Switch at least. Like, wasn't that the last port? Was 3D World?
3D World, yeah.
Like that was a while ago at this point.
3.5 years ago now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 3D Mario. There's been a 2D Mario game since then, but those are very different than 3D Mario games.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there hasn't been one in a long time. Yeah. 3D Land, I would not ever call it the best Mario game. I think it's a very great one, though. I do think that it doesn't always get its due, just because, someone who's not here always thinks handheld games are lesser, and I just firmly disagree with that. I will never agree with that from a certain someone who's not on this panel right now. 3D Land rules.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I just finished another run of Link Between Worlds.
I saw that in Discord. Yeah, I was very happy to see that.
So good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a full run. It was one that I picked up that I had 2 dungeons left to clear before going to the final dungeon. I was like, I'll just finish this right now. And so it was just I did the Turtle Rock one and then the Ice Palace. And that game is just so good. The whole thing just feels like a little present that you're constantly opening up. It's just so delightful. And it's not a difficult game, but it's such a satisfying Zelda game. No, it's short. Yeah, I played a quarter of the game in one sitting. It's not a long game at all.
That's one of the
so good.
That's one of the only 3DS games that I remember. Like I was living with my parents when it came out still. But sitting like in the family room with it was plugged into the outlet, and I played it for like an entire day. That was all I did.
Nice.
And didn't die once. Like that was the first time I had ever done that in a Zelda game. Like that game's pretty easy. But it is just so rewarding the whole time you're playing it. It's like a constant slow dopamine drip the whole time you're going through it.
Yeah, the puzzles are so inventive with the painting on the wall. I love it so much. Yeah, you mentioned you didn't die. At the end, it tells you how many times you died, and I haven't touched this save file in probably almost 10 years. This was I restarted the game right after I finished it originally, and I never finished that run of it. And at the end, it said, you died 0 times. Okay, good job, passed me. I never died in this game. And I was thinking, I don't know the last time I died in a non-open world Zelda game. Honestly, I don't know the last time something killed me, because they're not super hard games, actually. I don't really like them for their difficulty. About them.
I think I played a lot of them when I was younger, and like for the first time, but I mean to that point, like it's not like I'm playing. If I play A Link to the Past, I'm not like, oh my god, I'm not dying left and right.
I might die in that one though. I don't know that one super well. Honestly,
oh, no?
I've only finished it once. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Ocarina's the first one I know like the back of my hand. But yeah, Link to the Past, I did a full playthrough of it on my SNES Classic, and I definitely died a handful of times actually on that run through it, because I'd never played it before. That was my first time ever finishing that game.
Yeah.
Anyways, A Link Between Worlds is another one that I desperately want an HD remaster of. I love you, Luigi's Mansion, but man, there were some 3DS ones I would have loved to see this treatment over that. Yeah, but I'm glad that you found a game that you're able to stick with right now. I know that Paper Mario's been a struggle. Hopefully, you'll find some time eventually to get to that one. But in the meantime, it's great that you're finding some solace in Luigi's Mansion too.
Yeah, 100%.
You know where I'm finding some joy? Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble. We talked about this game last week, but Chris is a huge Monkey Ball fan too, so I wanted to bring it up again since he is on the show this week. My review just went up over on IGN. I gave it an 8 out of 10. This game rules. It is so good. If you have any doubts that this is in fact the one to play, it is the one to play. I've been burned several times over the last 20 years by Monkey Ball games. Chris and I were going through them all before the show, and yep, we played that one, it sucked. We played that one, it was terrible. It was bad for these exact reasons. But Banana Rumble, they just did it. They nailed it. I've now finished all 200 stages. I'm working on 100%ing the game, which is extremely hard to do. Some of the things they ask you to do are pretty crazy. You have to collect a certain number of bananas in each level and then clear the goal. And there's some stages in the EX levels that ask you to collect 84 bananas and then clear it in 60 seconds. I don't know how I'm going to do that. It's super challenging and really rewarding when you finally check things like that off. Chris, what's your favorite Monkey Ball game of all time?
Monkey Ball 2.
Yeah, easy. It's
Yeah.
just the only answer.
Yeah, it's
I
Monkey
don't know.
Ball 2.
I don't know anyone who would say otherwise.
No. I mean, and what we were saying before the show is, and thinking about it now, maybe Sonic, and it's funny because they're both Sega properties, but I can't think of another single franchise that has released so many games that I've played every game in the Monkey Ball franchise. There's what, 10 of them to 12 of them, I think.
This is the 12th. Yeah,
and-
not counting. There's 30 mobile games. Those don't count.
Yeah, not counting the mobile games, but like ones that have come to console. Like Logan on his review at IGN has his IGN playlist for ranking every Super Monkey Ball game. And I'm looking at this list and like I largely agree with it. I didn't think Banana Mania was worse than Step and Roll.
It offended me. It offended me.
It clearly did.
More than any other game has ever offended me.
But I'm looking at this list and like through every console generation just about, or handheld or whatever, there's been a Monkey Ball game for the most part. And I don't know of another franchise that I've been like, oh, there's a Monkey Ball game. Maybe this one will be better. And it's not. Like, I haven't been thrilled with this franchise since the GameCube. I was a young boy the last time this franchise didn't disappoint me. And still, for like 20 years, I was like, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one. And it was not Banana Mania. What was the other one? The other HD, Banana Blitz HD. That one came like ever so close. And I was like, they're almost there. And I'm happy to see that Banana Rumble is finally where it seems like they nailed that secret sauce a little bit closer. So I do plan on picking this up probably on a sale down the road in the future, for reasons I just stated. But this is great. Like, I want Monkey Ball to be back. I'm glad that Sega kept giving it the old college try. I don't know why it took them this long to nail that physics engine. Like, they already had it, but sure, let's get it going again.
Yeah, and the best thing about it, Chris, is that you can adjust the controls in the settings. There's really, really significant options for adjusting dead zones on the stick and adjusting how fast you want the stage to tilt when you move the stick. And I say this every time I talk about this game because it's so important. If you crank everything up to the max, like everything, the dead zone is 100 and 0, so every little movement you make on your control stick matters. You change all the settings to fast. It feels like the GameCube ones because it's that one-to-one control with your control stick and the stage tilting. And it's something they have not been able to capture, which is why Banana Mania offended me so deeply, is they took these levels that are amazing, the best levels in the entire series from 1, 2, and Deluxe, and they just ruined them by making them unplayable. Some of the later expert levels in Banana
You literally can't
Mania,
beat them.
You can't beat them because of how bad the controls are.
Right.
And it's so sluggish. You tilt the stick forward and it takes almost a half a second for the stage to catch up with what you're doing. And Banana Rumble, it's one of those where my girlfriend was watching me play and she says, this is making me a little bit motion sick because the stage is moving so quickly. It's so twitchy and precise and it just feels so great. It's so back. And yeah, I'm so happy about it.
How does it run and how does it look? Because I didn't realize it was a Switch exclusive until just now. I know it was like announced with on a direct, but that's pretty crazy that they got the exclusivity for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I guess, to make a good monkey ball, you just have to make a Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah.
It's the secret. Unless you're Banana Blitz or Step and Roll. But it looks great. It runs at 60 FPS in single player.
That's
Locked.
great.
It almost never drops. There's one or two levels where there's a ton going on and it's the slightest dip, but
That's
no,
fine.
it runs locked 60 FPS for pretty much all 200 levels. And then I played a lot of it online. When you get this game, we got to play it online. I'll run through the whole thing again with you. But I seriously, I'll play this game with whoever wants to. I'm so down. I mean, we got to start a monkey ball channel in our Discord.
I'll
I'm
make it
bringing it
right
home
now.
this weekend to play it with my family, who I played the GameCube ones growing up with all the time. So I'm super excited to bring that and play it with them too. But I don't even know where I was going. I'm so lost in the monkey ball sauce. But I would think I was saying, I don't know. I don't know. I was talking about how it runs. Split screen, it drops a little bit. It's choppier in the split screen for sure. But when you're playing online with somebody else, it still runs at 60. I played online all 200 levels with a friend. It runs just like it does in single player. It's just perfect. It is almost the perfect monkey ball game. As I've sat with it a little bit, one thing that it lacks that I wish it had is it's basically entirely a cooperative game now. We drop onto the stage at the same time. If one of us clears it, we both move on to the next one. And that's good. I think that's overall a positive change. But I do miss that challenge mode where we take turns and I'm working on my stages, you're working on yours. If I clear stage 5 and you die on stage 5, I move on to 6. And then when it's your turn, you're still on 5. I miss that kind of individual challenge run, which just doesn't really exist at all. But that's a pretty small complaint because the last two didn't even have multiplayer. That's crazy.
I was going to ask about like what is the so a big thing that I spent a lot of time with in these games growing up were the mini games. Like, are they all back and then they added some, or is it just like Fall Guys? 'Cause like that was what it looked like when they first announced this. Is it was like it's a Fall Guys clone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they suck. The mini games suck. It's a Fall Guys clone. It's a shame. And I don't say that disparagingly towards Fall Guys. I adore Fall Guys.
Fall Guys is great. It's just like that's not what I wanted.
Yes, but is totally what they targeted here. And actually, weirdly, the closer comparison is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Battle Mode, but really watered down bad versions of that. Because there's basically a coin runners where you're hunting for bananas instead of coins. And there is a bomb blast where you're playing hot potato trying to pass the bombs off to other people before time runs out. And there's 5 modes. Each one only has 2 or 3 maps. And it's just so boring. And it runs great in adventure mode. The frame rate in battle mode's horrible. It is a slideshow at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how differently the two sides of the game run. So yeah, it's totally forgettable, but it didn't really hamper my experience with it because I don't really care. Yeah, Monkey Target's awesome. Monkey Bowling, Monkey Soccer are awesome, but I've always cared more about the main game, and it's so good here. So yeah, the minigames haven't been good in Monkey Ball for a really long time, though. Like Banana Blitz, I think, has 75 minigames. That's way too much.
That's
None
insane.
of them are very good.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
No, I just remember like Billiards, Dogfight, Target.
Yep.
Yeah, they were like the big ones that I played a lot.
Yeah, Target, it's like the on-rail shooter.
Yeah.
Target's so cool. I love Monkey Target. Yeah. So now it's definitely, I think it's still a step down from 1 and 2, but it is easily the closest that we've come. Like if I'm scoring games on the scale, Monkey Ball 2 to me is a 10. I think it is a literally perfect video game. There's nothing I would change. And 10 doesn't always mean perfect, but in this case it does. The perfect video game. I think it's the only one that exists. And then Super Monkey Ball 1 is an amazing game. It's not as good. And then this one I gave an 8. And then I don't know if there's another Monkey Ball game I'd score above a 5. I think that they're all like that bad.
They're pretty bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever play Adventure?
That was the Vita one, right?
No, Adventure is on GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, and it's like a 3D platform collectathon.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's real bad. Yeah.
I just bought it again at a secondhand store for $10 on GameCube, and it's so buggy. When you're playing just the normal Monkey Ball levels, the music just stops half the time, and you're just playing in silence.
Even the cover art looks weird. Like it looks like a completely different like art team like worked on that game.
Yeah.
It looks like a knockoff Monkey Ball.
It totally does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also always been a total hater of the super cell shaded, bright, colorful art style they went to after the first two games, starting with Banana Blitz.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a new iteration of that. I would say this is II's second big redesign, so the third big iteration of him. I like it more. Probably also because I like the game more, so I have more positive associations with how he looks now. But I like this art style a lot more.
Good.
So great. You got to
Good,
pick
good,
it
good.
up. And so does everybody listening. And yeah, go buy
Logan
Ball
Plant does
Banana
not have
Rumble, so they
stock in
make
Sega
it
Corporation, for the record.
I don't. I just have stock in good monkey ball games. And I want more of them. I'm just worried because I feel like I need to bang the drum for this one so loudly because they marketed this like a Fall Guys clone, and it's not. It is not that at all.
But that's
it is
not
the
all it
best monkey
is.
ball game in 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just feel like there's a lot of fans out there like you that said, "Oh, it just looks like Fall Guys," and I didn't think it was going to be any good. No, it's so good. People need to play it. Yeah, it's my game of the year, hands down.
It's your game of the year?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's not even close.
Oh my god!
Yeah. It's not even close. I have devoured this game unlike anything. Like so besides,
What
Tears of
came
the
out
Kingdom,
this year?
It's been pretty. Prince of Persia was my game of the year.
Yeah.
Until this. Yeah.
Wow.
I like this
okay.
one. Yeah. And
Okay.
Thousand Year Door, I think, is a better game than this, but I like.
Yeah, but it's a
this
remake.
more because. Yeah, exactly. No, this is it. This is the best game of 2024.
Holy
and
cow!
I'm so excited about it.
You heard it here first.
You did. Go play Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. Let's move on here, though, to some headlines from Nintendo's shareholders meeting. This happened a few days ago at the end of June. It's the 84th annual shareholders meeting. We're still waiting on the officially translated Q&A, so this is just what different outlets have had their different translators look at. So I think we'll probably revisit this if anything new comes out when they translate everything. But I think there was still some interesting stuff in here that we should briefly hit all of these headlines. They addressed generative AI with President Shintaro Furukawa saying, in the game industry, AI-like technology has long been used to control enemy character movements, so game development and AI technology have always been closely related. Generative AI, which has been a hot topic in recent years, can be more creative, but we also recognize it has issues with intellectual property rights. We have decades of know-how in creating optimal gaming experiences for our customers, and while we remain flexible in responding to technological developments, we hope to continue to deliver value that is unique to us and cannot be achieved through technology alone. Chris, is it just me, or is that literally the perfect 10 out of 10 answer to being asked about generative AI?
For Nintendo, yes. For any
Yes.
other company, well,
No.
I'm
For
sorry. You're
Nintendo,
right.
yeah.
No, you're right. That's the perfect answer because, like, what a lot. I don't like the other direction when it swings in the other direction. When you have a lot of companies that are like, we are all in, everything is going to run out of AI. All of our customer service is gone. Everyone's a robot. Like, I don't like that either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's terrible.
Yeah.
No, but this is great because one, they made an important distinction, which I think AI has become this buzzword, and I hate a lot of generative AI stuff and what it's doing. I think it's terrible. I've been on the record on that many times. I hate it. But we have been using forms of AI forever, and Furukawa points that out. We use this stuff in our development. But talking about generating the content is where things get different and tricky and hairy, and then Nintendo basically says, yeah, we're not putting our hands in that. We're staying away from it. We know how to make handcrafted video game experiences for our customers, and we're going to keep doing that. We're staying away from it, but they said they're flexible in responding to technological developments, meaning they always have the door open to looking at stuff too.
Yeah, so like that's the side of it, and this is how I use it in my own like career. Anything generative has been as a tool. It is in order for me. It is for me to complete a task more quickly. I think if anybody can nail that, where it's like, no, this is still a handcrafted thing. It's way easier for me to use GitHub. I don't know if they use GitHub, but let's assume they do. To use GitHub Copilot and start typing in, here's the function that I'm writing in code, and hit tab because it says, oh, I see, based on everything else in this file, I see this is what you're writing. Like, hit tab and we'll figure out the rest. That's great. Let's do that. They have QA down. Like if anybody has QA down, it's Nintendo. So like
Yeah.
let that development process rip. Like make it easier for everybody. Let's do that. I think if I had faith in anybody to be able to figure that out, I think it's them. But I think you're gonna have a lot of companies that do it too far in the other direction, though.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I agree. We hear some really concerning stuff. I can't think of any game developers off the top of my head, but that are all in on AI. And we see some indie devs saying, hey, this game is made entirely with AI, and it's not something I'd ever be interested in. And I think what makes Nintendo's games so great is they feel like toys. We talk about that a lot, and toys are handmade, and you can never replace that with technology. But no, I'm totally with you. If there's some microscopic texture that they can somehow optimize using AI, sure, go for it. I don't need everything to be completely handcrafted like that. But we're talking about game design, content, world design, story, characters, levels, all this stuff. I never want that to be done by AI ever.
There's the other side of this too that they have already done, which if you're not familiar with it, the Pikmin 2 remakes, Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 remakes.
Oh, yeah.
They used AI to upscale the video files from the original games so that they were in HD. I think that's a perfect use case for it. Like Nintendo has tons and tons of games in their library from previous generations that people are saying, hey, we want this to be ported up to next generation consoles or current generation consoles. They are the holders of that source code. They're the holders of all of that pre-rendered content. Like they're well within their right to throw that thing in whatever process is going to upscale it or upres it and make it modern. And if it runs well, like let them do it and let them put it in a box and I'll buy it for 50 or 60 bucks. Like, I don't care if it lets me replay some of these games. Like, let's do it. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's interesting because then they sold those for like 20 or 30 each.
Yeah.
And then that was a
but it was
really nice
probably a
price
low
point,
lift
I
for
think,
them.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and just now all the Pikmin games are on Switch, and it's such a cool little thing that they did. I really, really like that. So, yeah, I just like that answer a lot because I know it's something that's on a lot of creatives' minds right now. It's a big buzzword topic. So cool to hear them actually address it because I know in the episode I was gone, you guys talked about it a lot, about what is Nintendo going to do with AI, and this answer is right now pretty much nothing. It could change, but I like the answer. I like where they're at right now because it's also still so new. Who knows what any of this stuff is going to look like?
And I'll say
couple years
this,
from now.
like from a small scale perspective, like you logging into your ChatGPT account or Claude or any of these models and running something on your computer under your singular account, that's great. Good for you. Do it up. In an organization that's maintaining that's developing these models in cloud infrastructure. I'm dealing with this right now at work. You're developing this stuff in cloud infrastructure. A lot of these companies are like, they're figuring it out too. So like in Microsoft Azure right now, every other week they're like, this new model is available, but it's only in this region and like with these criteria, and you have to call them to get like compute quotas and like, it's very not ready yet. Like it's still being built.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, let it bake on that front. You can use it on your workstation and it can enhance your workflow. Sure. But like to run a production system out of it, I think in a lot of cases, unless you're a huge company and you're like buddy with Microsoft and AWS and all these other companies, like just let it bake for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's their stance on AI. They talked about a lot of other stuff too, like scalping and how they're going to work on combat that as we head into the next hardware generation. We saw the worst case of reselling maybe ever with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in 2020 when they didn't make nearly enough of them because they couldn't. And the prices on eBay and other secondhand sites was crazy. And so they were asked about this as they're preparing to reveal their next gen console. And Nintendo said that they're going to basically try and combat it by just meeting demand. I don't know about you, Chris. To me, this reads as a very shareholdy answer. This is just what the shareholders wanted to hear, so this is what they said. I don't think that reselling is something that you can really combat, and it's going to happen.
They also like, we don't know if we can believe them, right? Like artificial hype and artificial demand was very beneficial to them when the Wii came out. It wasn't as bad with the Switch. like there was probably, I think we talked about this before, there was like a 6-month period where it was like they were kind of hard to get, and you could eventually get one if you tried hard enough.
Yeah.
But like that problem kind of went away, and then it came back during COVID. But I kind of just like, anytime any company does something like this, I'm kind of like, let's just wait and see. Like, how's it actually going to play out? I'm sure they've got like stacks of these things in a warehouse at this point, because from what we understand, or what we've been told, the hardware is pretty much locked and loaded. Like, I don't think they're really making changes to that, and they've probably already got a lot of them made, sitting somewhere.
You think so? I'm torn on that, because I feel like if that was true, more would have leaked about what this thing looks like. I think that once production ramps up, that's when things start to slip out, and we still know kind of not very much at all about what this thing actually is going to look like and be.
If it's not already settled on, I think they have till September. It's my tinfoil hat guess, out of thin air, based on nothing. I think that's when we'll start to see the leaks.
That seems like a good bet. I think so. Do you think this thing's coming in the spring or in the fall next year?
I would say it's March. I feel like they're just going to repeat what they did.
I hope so.
Well, yeah, I'll stick with March. I almost said Metroid, threw it off because for some reason in my head they said Metroid was coming in May, but they never said that. They just said 2025.
Maybe you just had a premonition. It is coming in May.
I am that connected mentally with the folks at Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll see. I think that, I don't know, the whole artificial scarcity thing, I'm not sure if it's ever really been a thing since the Wii. People think it was with Amiibo. I don't think it was. I think they legitimately underestimated how many people were going to want a figure of Wii Fit Trainer. I think that's legitimately what happened, and then it became this whole thing. So I think with this, there's been just a fever for new Nintendo hardware for several years. I think they're going to want to try to meet that demand. Will they? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be in a first year. I think the best you can hope for that is if you are online and internet savvy and shopping savvy enough, you'll be able to pre-order one. That's almost what happened with Switch. They fell short of that a little bit. But if you are on the internet, you're following the deals accounts or whatever, you should be able to get one of these locked in before they come out. And then it'll be the people who hear about this thing on launch day and so, oh, I should go pick one of those up. And they can't. That's probably my guess for what this is going to happen.
Do you think... Were you a part of the PS5 like panic when that happened?
I got my PS5 on Amazon in October, so about a month before it came out.
Okay. So for those that weren't paying attention or were not a part of this, the day that
I got lucky.
Well, yeah, but yeah, because they did like drips and drabs of like, okay, now we're gonna get X more number of units, and like you would go on Amazon, you'd have like 5 minutes to get a pre-order. But the day they announced the PS5, they did this whole big event. It was in June, and then that night, all of a sudden, all these sites start popping up. You can pre-order your PS5 right now with no notice. Like no one was made aware, and I managed to get like 6 of them. And I was just like all my buddies were like, oh yeah, I was just left and right. And all my buddies were just like, oh my God, we couldn't get one. And I was like, I got you. Don't worry about it. And for a week straight, boxes were just showing up to my house, and it was COVID, and I was leaving them at the bottom of my steps, and I was like, all right, have fun. And then they would leave. They'd Venmo me and they'd leave. How do you think that situation is going to be handled by Nintendo? Like, are they going to clearly say like pre-orders will begin on this day? Or do you think it'll just be like, it'll happen when it happens. It'll happen 5 minutes after this event ends.
That's basically what happened with Switch. I don't remember what they said, though. I'd have to go back and look, because remember the January 2017 Switch presentation on stage in Japan, when they revealed everything about it, including the price.
Yep.
I pre-ordered my Switch that night. It went up on GameStop is where I got it. It went up hours later. It was 11 p.m. or something like that same night that pre-orders went live. I can't remember if they said in that presentation that pre-orders are going to open up tonight, or if it just happened. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. And usually, this last Direct was a weird situation because of the whole leaker thing, that they didn't post anything to their website beforehand. But usually, pre-orders for Nintendo stuff goes live the day of that they announce it.
That didn't happen, and that's why I asked.
It's live.
Because that didn't happen this time around. It took like a day, I
Yeah.
think, for like
The Gold
maybe more
Switch
than
Lite
that.
is still not available for pre-order.
Right.
Yeah, you still can't order that thing. And the games took about a week. It was about 5 or 6 days
Yeah.
until you could pre-order Zelda anywhere besides some, like, I don't know, PlayAsia or something like that. I think Japan got it
Yeah.
before we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took a long time. So hopefully they have this leaker situation figured out, which was another thing they talked about. They kind of addressed the leaker situation and just said they're working to improve employee education and training on security to protect from leaks. So they did actually talk about it at this meeting. Hopefully they have that nailed down so they can start getting the pre-orders for this new stuff, because a new system that's something that can bring a website down when people are trying to pre-order that thing. So hopefully they have everything lined up so that goes well.
Yeah. I'm hoping that training is more robust than some of the security trainings I've seen in my career. But
Or you just sit through a video. And
Don't
through
click.
it.
Yeah, don't click on suspicious links. What email is suspect here?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it the one with 1,000 extra characters in the link, or the one
Yeah.
without 1,000 extra?
amma.zon.com.
Yeah. That's so accurate. That's good. A couple other items from this. Actually, I think just one more is that Miyamoto talked about passing the torch to younger developers, and this is the roughly translated quote. I have the younger generation make the games without me having to do any actual work, and I've been able to hand it over smoothly, but the people that took over from me are getting older, so I would like to hand it over to someone younger. And I think that's something we have praised Nintendo for, is they do hand off their series to younger creators. It's something we've talked about Sakurai needing to do for Smash Brothers, and I just thought it was really interesting to hear Miyamoto directly address that at the shareholders meeting.
So I'm going to get a little weird with this and stick
Okay.
with me, because it's something that I've heard recently that, like, I've been thinking a lot about. I feel like, oh, I clicked on you again. Sorry, video people. There is I feel like this is probably an easier thing. Mentorship is an easier thing to develop within Japan than it is in the United States in 2024. This is totally, I'm basing this on nothing. Just stick with me. I feel like part of this, what they've done really well, is like pass the baton of like, okay, we're going to trickle down all these roles for all these people. You find people within the company that are passionate, that they're good at what they do, and you give those responsibilities to them. And people have said that Miyamoto is very good about, coming into a studio and saying, like, it's just missing that, like, magic touch, and he knows, what it is that is missing often. The Retro used to talk about that with Donkey Kong Country Returns. I do see that becoming a problem in a lot of U.S. development studios. You know what? I'm not going to get into why I think that is. But,
Okay.
yeah, you know what? No, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to say I feel like Japan does a better job at that because of things that have happened in society that have crippled how we handle mentorship in the United States. And I applaud them for that.
Okay. Yeah, I think Nintendo specifically is very, very good at it. I think part of it comes from just a love of the art and the thing you're working on and wanting it to be the best it can be, and kind of preserving the legacy of it as well.
Yeah.
And Miyamoto could still be directing games into his 70s, but he's not. He's decided to hand that legacy and that baton off, and I think that's really benefited them. And it's also allowed, like, a youthful energy to be injected into some of these games. I look at Mario Wonder and some of the stuff that's in there that some of the old developers that made Mario games would have never thought of. They just wouldn't have. It was a different time, different things. These are fresh ideas. Anyone could put an idea on the table, and they took all the best ones, no matter who submitted it. And that is so cool. And that's one of the reasons I love that game so much. And I think it's just, Splatoon is the other big example I like to point to. This was like a totally fresh franchise come up with newer minds at Nintendo. And that's so cool. And I just think that that's going to continue. And it is going to preserve that legacy of these franchises. Aonuma's been the face of Zelda forever, but Miyamoto started Zelda. Zelda's not Aonuma's thing, but he inherited it over 25 years ago now at this point and has done an awesome job with it, and soon it won't be his thing anymore either, and I think that's really cool.
Well, I was going to say there's somebody I can't remember the gentleman's name, and I apologize to whoever this is, but there's somebody when Tears of the Kingdom was coming out, when all those interviews were happening with Aonuma, that like there was a number 2 with him, and I think it's pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
that's Hidemaru Fujibayashi, who's the director of the last 2 Zeldas.
There you go. So yeah, like he's definitely in line to step into that, similarly to what we saw with the fellow that's doing did Mario Odyssey and like was part of the whole Switch reveal.
Koizumi, yeah.
Yeah. So no, I think that's great. And I think it's crucial, especially for Nintendo, this company that like, unfortunately, like people get old, people die. It's a horrible thing to have to admit, but like there's going to be a time where Miyamoto is not going to be around anymore, which is like a hard pill to swallow. And while you may not be able to replace somebody like that, like Miyamoto is like he's God. Like I don't know how else you describe him. But I think you can get as close as possible. You do your best to get as close as possible to set up the next generation for success. But like you said, you also want those fresh ideas. You don't want to clone the guy, but you want to be able to continue on what he started, whatever all those guys started.
Yeah, and there was a time where some Nintendo franchises started to feel stale. You can look at the 2010s and look at some of the stuff that was happening in Zelda or in Mario at the time. And I won't say it's directly been because of a change in leadership and a new generation taking over, but I think you can partially credit kind of the resurgence in creativity and fresh ideas to new talent getting their hands on it, compared to what was happening with something like the new Super Mario Brothers series. I think that's a really impactful thing. And yeah, just the willingness to let things be weird again, I guess, is something I've also really liked from Nintendo, because they make weird stuff. And I think for a while it was getting a little bit bland, specifically in Mario, and how they handled some of the external Mario Universe stuff. And just, it was the same bland art design for every single game, no matter what, the same roster of 8 characters. And they've gotten away from that and gotten back to some of the cool stuff they used to do. And I just really like that. So that was the shareholders meeting, the 84th annual. I look forward to the 85th. Maybe the boardroom will get a seat at the table. Doubtful. We won't. But let's talk about the last thing here. This is very opposite of an official shareholders meeting. This is an unofficial Club Nintendo anthology that's hitting Kickstarter next month. So this was created by someone named Oscar Bown? Not sure. And this is going to be a comprehensive picture book of Club Nintendo rewards from all regions. So this sounds like an awesome coffee table book, basically. And there's some concept of what this thing is going to look like on the Kickstarter page. And it's just this big hardcover book that has images of every reward that Club Nintendo gave out from 2002 to 2015, the entire existence of that rewards program. It covers all regions too. So Japan had some cool exclusive stuff. The UK had some cool exclusive stuff. We never got anything cool here. We always had the lamest choices on Club Nintendo because our country is way too huge to ship all these things out to. And there's also some physical rewards that are going to come with the Kickstarter if you back it, like a gold coin pin, handheld postcards, and a 2025 anniversary celebration calendar. And those 3 things are very Club Nintendo. If you were around, those are like trademark staple Club Nintendo rewards. So Chris, this thing is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, so for those that weren't around, or like if you maybe are a younger collector of I'll say Nintendo games of that era, like Wii, Nintendo DS, you used to open up those games when you would buy them, and there would be a code inside. You'd go in, you'd redeem it, and then you'd be able to go on Club Nintendo and get cool rewards for it. And it was stuff that was only available on Club Nintendo, and some of that might be like DS games that were like not sold in stores and only available through the program. And then, like Logan said, the stupid things like, perfect example is, what is it? Tingle's Ruby Land. I can't remember the full title.
Yeah, Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land.
Yeah. And then there were like 3 other Tingle games. There's like a balloon fight clone with Tingle in it. And then there was another one. They were only available I know they were in Japan. I think they were in Europe as well. I have the Japanese ones. And then in the US, we got like a stand for your DS games that held like 6 cases, and it was like the Mario hat. And that was, and then there was there's a statue that I always wanted and I never got. But that was like,
okay, there was some cooler stuff. There was like a gold nunchuck to match the Skyward Sword.
That one was cool.
Emotes.
No, but
There was the Luigi's Mansion statue.
that one was good. But then Japan, and you can find these on eBay still. They go for like $400 a piece. Japan got these really cool GameCube controllers that were for all the Mario characters. There's like a Wario one. There's a Mario, Luigi.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
they had some really cool stuff. And then we got like pens. But whatever. I'm not bitter at all. So no, I mean
I got a Wii remote holder once just to put your Wii remote. So why did I do that? Yeah, or like a Nintendo 3DS 18 cartridge carrying case, which actually wasn't bad. That one was cool because it could fit. It was just the size of a 3DS box, but instead of just having a slot for one cartridge,
I remember
it had
that.
slot for 18, so I could put it in my bag with my 3DS and bring 18 games around.
That's cool. You
So
can
there
lose
was
them
some
all at
good
once.
stuff.
No, it's no, I'll definitely back this. Like I loved Club Nintendo growing up, and I would always like if my buddy got a game that I knew I was going to pick up, and I'd be like, "Are you going to use that code?" Like I would always try to like snag it off him. But yeah, I can't wait to flip through this thing and just feel the envy that I felt all those years ago all over again, because now I can't even get those things. And if I tried to, I'd probably go on eBay and I'd be like, "Oh my God, it's too expensive." And then I still wouldn't be able to get it. So yeah.
No, Club Nintendo ruled. My Nintendo never been as good. They're branched a little bit more into some physical rewards, but I feel like most of it is just stuff you print at home or digital wallpapers. Or, I don't know.
Yeah,
there's some stuff. There's more physical rewards than there used to be on it, but nothing that's really as great.
Yeah, and I've always it's kind of a monkey ball situation where I like convince myself that it's great, and then I'll order something. Like I do have the Mario golf tag on my golf bag, so like everybody knows like that's clearly Chris's, because like no one else would do that.
I know. That's so good.
But I only golf on Father's Day usually, but yeah, I'm sitting here looking for my phone so I can two-factor, and I'm using it as my camera. Yeah, but a lot of it is just like bags for shopping that aren't big enough that I'll never use, and it's a lot of just that.
Yeah.
And pins. I don't like pins.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything with a pin. I have one pin, it's on my bag, it's the Rareware logo, and that's it. I'm not getting any more pins.
I think you are. I think you're getting 6 pins later this month.
Yeah, I'm getting those.
Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, I guess the other pins I got were in May last year when I got Tears of the Kingdom. I got some of the.
Oh, those things were so lame. That was such a lame collector's edition. Pins. That's what they do now. They throw in a steelbook, they throw in pins and a poster, and that's it. That's what you get.
It's just not
the
for
Golf
me.
Story collector's edition came with a golf ball that has the name of the first golf course in that game printed on it.
That's kind of sick.
Good stuff.
That's kind of sick.
It's way better. It's way better than what they're doing now in physical collector's editions. I haven't bought a physical special edition in years, and I don't know if I ever will again.
It's got to be real good for me to.
Well, I mean, except for the NES one, but the only way to get that physically is through the collector's edition, so that's an exception.
Yeah. I have a random question for you. This is totally not related. When the NES Classic Edition and the SNES Classic Editions came out, did you or do you feel inclined to get the versions from other regions? So like the Japanese Famicom one, or like the European like Super Nintendo, because like they're like the box is different colors and stuff, and like did you ever feel inclined to get those?
I didn't even get the American NES Classic Edition.
Oh wow,
I didn't get that.
Well, you don't like Nintendo games. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa, that sounds bad. You hate Nintendo games. So that's Justin. That's Justin, who our fans now think hates Nintendo games.
He hates Zelda.
Yeah, if you read the comments 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. No, there's a not solid. It's not made of solid gold, but there's a gold one that's for all the Shonen Jump NES games, and it's a Famicom.
Solid gold NES.
Yeah. But
there's a solid gold Wii. That's real.
That's real. The Queen has that. Yeah. She's still playing. Well, she's not playing anymore. But I forgot. I'm sorry.
let's
move on.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's the end of the show.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know where else to go with that.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know what happened.
Where am I?
Solid gold Wii. Should we find out to put a bow on that? They auctioned it. They auctioned it.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
What did it go for? Does it say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but we're done.
She definitely wants to play it then?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen and say that's another episode of the Toadstool Boardroom in the books. We're a weekly Nintendo show here on Thursdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Video version on YouTube, audio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you like to listen to your shows. We're going up on a holiday in the U.S., so hope you're enjoying the day off. If you have the day off, hopefully you maybe get a long 4-day weekend out of it, like I think both Chris and I do. 4-day weekend for you, Chris?
No.
Oh, no. Sorry.
No, but you know what I am going to do? All of the work that I've been trying to do for the last 2 months. I can't wait. Nobody's going to be in on Friday.
Nice. That's a good day. That's a good day in the office. You can find our show on Twitter at ToadstoolBR. Email us toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. Chris, where can people find you?
I can't believe I'm still laughing. I'm such a terrible person. You can find me at Shrives93. Tweet whatever you want at me. I don't care. Any computer questions or I don't know. All that nerdy stuff that I talk about randomly at times.
I'm not laughing at the joke. I'm just laughing at the progression that it took us to get there. Was not good. I don't even know what you were saying about the NES Famicom Shonen games.
Oh yeah. So there's a Shonen NES Famicom that's gold that has like all the Dragon Ball games and all that kind of stuff on it. And I think about it like once a week. I'm like, I wish I had that. I'd never play it, but I think it's so cool.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You can find me on Twitter at LoganJPlant. Please go read my Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble review on IGN, and please go play Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. You can find Justin on Twitter at KOREIS. He'll hopefully be back with us next week to talk about whatever happens next week in Nintendo. We got 2 weeks to go to NES, so I'm not sure what it's going to be, but it's going to be a good show no matter what. But for now, that's all the time I've got. I got to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. Have a great week. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you next time right here in the Toadstool Boardroom.